You do? I guess we can. Myself. I hope this is live on the right channel. I have a bad feeling that I put it on the. I'm on the right channel. All right. Hello, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. Hello, Go. Kelly Simmons, DC. Laura Hart, Christine, Dragonfly, White Dove, Alex. Hello to everybody. And as you guys know, I've got to get set up. So just give me a few minutes. And I'll set everything up here. Zero. 02/2022. If you want to join the link, the Zoom, well, you just get on Zoom, and then if you click join once you're there, and then it'll ask you for a Zoom ID and passcode. The Zoom ID is in the description below as well as the passcode. So next I'm going to add my Discord. And I'll give you a brand new code to join Discord. It's weird. Every time I get a code, it creates a brand new one. And I think they only last for like a week or something. All right. And then let me give you my new channel. Okay, Jeff Podcast. Page. Couple other things. And I think that's it. All right, once again, happy Saturday to you guys. It's the July 4th weekend. And that's only for Americans that you would care. July 4th is meaningless in basically any other country in the world, but for us, that's our national holiday. So again, not happy. Hello to Laura, DC, Radio Free, Simply Noob Galaxy, Becca Lawrence, Mustang, Patty LaBelle, Rhonda, Becky, Arena, and I guess that's it so far. See you. That's much better. And my drink today is a boba tea. So I'm not sure if you guys know what boba tea is. If you see these little round things in the bottom of this drink, it's basically a smoothie, and it has these little tapioca balls in it. And I think tapioca is like some type of plant that they make like a gelatinous ball. And so I like them. My family likes them, but at our local smoothie place, I get them to make me a healthy one. And this has no sugar. It's pretty cool. It's basically avocado, banana, and I guess maybe some kind of like powdered milk to give it kind of a creaminess to it, and ice. That's it. And depending on how ripe the banana is how sweet this is. And with the avocado, it's a lot of oil, but it's a good oil for you. So it's like really heavy and filling. So that's what I'm up to today. If you've never had one, they're really awesome and they're fun to drink. Kids love them. And, and they give you these really fat, I don't know if you can see here, these really giant straws. So you can get those, so the tapioca balls will fit inside these. And they call them, some people call them bubble tea. And I think traditionally they're boba tea. But, it's kind of however you want to pronounce it. All right, so again, in the description below, I put the Zoom ID. So if you'd like to come and share, and even if you'd like to come and share, I'm going to throw this out there. If you'd like to come and share and just tell everybody how much these videos help you. I mean, you don't have to have an experience, but so many people write in and say these videos really help them, and write me personally as well. So if you want to come and share that, because sharing is what makes this podcast run. People like to share. So that is there. If you the Discord link is there. So Discord is kind of like Facebook but different. It is a place where you can go, you can video chat, you can voice chat, you can post memes, you can post videos, you can post whatever. I don't really manage the place. I've set it up and I post my videos there, and I just leave it to you guys. And you can do whatever you want on Sundays, or well, not Sundays. Well, let me go back. So you go to discord.com, you get a free profile, and then if you use that link there, that'll get you link you into my server, the JeffMara podcast server, and then there you can do whatever. And there's kind of like 3 rooms there. There's the there is the just kind of a couple sharing rooms, and then there's one called services, and there's a couple guests, people that go. Typo goes sometimes, and Merlin goes, and they do like free stuff, free readings or free whatever they're up to. So I let people do their free, like if you're a tarot reader or a energy worker or whatever, I say anybody can go there and do their work as long as it's free for everybody. So that's something that you may want to check out. I also put the link to our new NDE only channel, because the main channel, although it started out NDEs and the majority of it is NDE content, it's not only NDEs. For those of you who've been with me for a while, you'll see, aliens and all kinds of stuff. Angels, aliens, Bigfoot. We had Bigfoot recently. We had 5D consciousness discussions. So there's kind of all kinds of stuff, and they're all kind of, to me, all somewhat related to each other. But for my NDE clips channel, it's only NDEs, and what I do is I cut out the NDE from the whole hour-long video, so it's anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes on average. And if you just want to go there and consume that kind of content, it's there for you. And I'm slowly adding more and more as it goes along. And then I have the JeffMara podcast Facebook page, and if I have time, I have some articles to share with you, and you can go there and get those articles. I posted them on there. And the last one is my personal Facebook profile. So you'll see my real last name is Reynolds. My wife's name is Mara. And we work on this together. It's the JeffMara podcast, although she really isn't seen. And but you're welcome to friend me on Facebook. They gave you 5,000 friends. So And I didn't, and Penny is there, and Penny is the one. Penny's there, and no, we didn't do it, but we will find something before this podcast is over that we will have the remote view for next time. But Penny is an artist, and she was so kind to make me these things, like when, when guests are here and I have to like hold up a sign like I can't hear you and stuff like that. She made me these cards, and she makes greeting cards, really cool little. They're called tinvites. They kind of, I don't have one, but I had one here. I don't have one right here. I have it saved somewhere, but all kinds of neat little invitations and greeting cards, and they have to do with like little tin boxes and stuff. So she has an Etsy store. So hit her up in the chat and say, go ahead and post your link to your Etsy store. Is that all that's in there? I don't. All the ones there. So yeah, ask Penny about that store. And Merlin's here, and Merlin's been a guest, and Merlin is our official tarot reader. So if you're ready for your tarot reading before we get started, here comes Mr. Merlin. See, like right now, Merlin is connecting to audio. I should have my sign. The desk is. Merlin, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. All right. I don't need the sign right now. How are you this week, Merlin?
Excuse me?
Did you get a haircut?
Yes.
Looks good.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, what's going on this week?
Not much. Just posting, working on my YouTube channel, doing all that kind of stuff, trying to build up some numbers and stuff. Make it grow stuff.
What is the name of your channel?
Merlin, Son of the Fae.
All right, guys, that's it. Merlin, Son of the Fae, if you want to check it out. What cards do you have with us this week?
Well, I got fairy cards and angel cards and just regular traditional.
Which ones are you going to use?
The regular traditional based off of Rider-Waite. It's not Rider-Waite, but it's very similar. So I don't really know the artist's name anymore. So this is like regular tarot now. So it's not like Oracle or anything like that.
Yes.
So I'm just going to do it.
All right, guys, what we've been doing is Merlin has been setting up 3 piles. That way everybody can participate. So you have to choose if you want pile 1, 2, or 3. And then he will read each pile, and that will be your answer to the question that you're seeking an answer to.
Okay, I'm going to draw 3 random ones.
Okay.
1, 2, 3. And I'll draw 1 card for each.
And that's a confirmation card, right?
Yes, sir. That is correct. And so I'm gonna give the people enough time to see which card resonates with them.
Interesting.
And whatever people are drawn to, that should be their card. And then so I'll reveal it, and we'll see what they say about it. See if they picked something that resonates with them or whatever.
So far in the chat, the majority of people are saying they want pile number 3.
Pile number 3.
Card number 3. Pile number 3.
Okay, is it 3 from my perspective or their perspective? Going this way.
It's whatever. I just see people putting 3 and 2s and 1 number 1.
Okay. All right. So I'll reveal it from my left to right.
Okay.
The first card is Temperance. Okay. This card is about balance, because you can see that the angel has 1 foot in the water and 1 foot on land. And also it's about the senses too. It's about the material world. And it can also indicate a need to balance the chakras, as you can see with a rainbow color right here. So also, so it's about, this is a balance card.
So
So,
that means you could
and that
also,
way, sir.
I was going to say, then that means you could also need to balance your health out if you want to balance your chakras.
Oh yes, yeah. It goes hand in hand. Health and spiritual, and your soul and our auras, and everything with our spirit goes hand in hand with our health for sure. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a clarification card for temperance. So whatever pops up,
Mm-hmm.
that would be for it. That was the card.
So now this card will say, if it's something like definitely it pulls up health or marriage or relationships, then you'll know it's balance in relationships, for example.
Oh yes, absolutely. That's exactly how. That's awesome.
Hey, I'm going to be a tarot reader
Yeah.
pretty soon if I keep watching you.
Well, anybody can do it. That's what's fun about it. But it takes a while to get used to the cards, you know. So, oh, okay, look, I'm gonna go by the top. That's what I usually do, and that's how my guides know.
Mm-hmm.
They know my style. They know how I do it, and so this is popping up. The
Okay.
first card, okay, not the rest of them behind it. It's just the first. I'm gonna take the first, put it right here, turn this back around, and I'm gonna shuffle this after that. So I got the Queen of Air in the reverse. Okay. For me, that's telling me that there's a need. There's a need to go within to because I feel like you're not seeing things as clear as you should. You're not using logic. You're not using reason, and that could, and also not, the logic and the left hemisphere of the brain could be unbalanced as well, because you got to balance your logic and reason for sure. So that makes a little sense. So it's our mind, or
Mm-hmm.
mind of a human,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily our soul really, but like I said, they go hand in hand. So it's like a need to be able to see things from a broader point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Well, maybe you need to look within and find balance within your mind.
absolutely. That's how it starts, because it's consciousness. We are consciousness,
Right.
and so that would make sense. Okay, the second card is Six of Wands. Okay, so this is a card representing victory. It's a positive card, success, victory. Um, but also, if you do get victorious, this card also wants to remind us not to brag too much about it, but be happy, and be celebratory. But don't rub it in people's faces when you are victorious, because some people, it can make people bitter, and jealous. So that's what that's calling to. But it's also, so it's a good card. So it's about victorious, positive, and you can see he's on a horse, so you're moving forward. It's movement. The ones are movement. So it's a good card. What's what the clarification is?
So
Clarify.
celebrate your win, but stay humble.
Absolutely, yes. 6 of 1. 1. 1. 6 1.
Now, I
Okay, you
think,
see how it's that? That's our
yeah.
card.
So whenever something kind of pops out, you feel like your guide is pointing you to grab that card. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, they know my style. The spirits know our style, they can intermingle with our own thoughts or brain waves, because it's just like a radio wave, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's similar. That's how our brain waves are. We're electrical beings, so they can manipulate our brain waves and help us or make us see whatever images they want us to see. Now, this is very interesting. You see how I got two cards of the same suit. So it's suit of ones, but this is the Four of Wands in reverse, right? Um, Now this is celebration. How cool is that? In the
Mm-hmm.
upright is celebration. Can you see? Positive
Right.
cards also celebrate as well, and it's yeah. it's like a victorious type of vibe, but it's in reverse. So um,
Let me ask you a question here. You know, you're calling him in reverse. For me, I would call that upside down. But
yes.
what is the significance of it being upside down or in reverse? What does that? I would think it would negate it, but it doesn't sound like that's what you're saying.
Well, there's a lot of scenarios, but typically when the card is reversed, that is the case. It's more like an internal battle from my inside oneself. So it does negate it because because you want cards in the upright, you really don't want. It's so when you get in reverse, that's like a sign detailing what you need to work on. Or
Hmm.
sometimes though, because of life, um, there's nothing you can do. Like the hanged man, for example, he's hanged upside down. He's not getting out of that, but it gives them time to think, to see things differently from an objective point of view. So it's terrible. It's pretty complex. It can be pretty complex, but it's everyone reads their own way or interprets the card their own way.
So it sounds like
So
pile two is good. They were both celebratory type of cards, right?
well, this is victorious. Yeah, so you're victorious. He's got a reef up there signifying he victory. But this, yes, so you can see the guy celebrating,
Hmm.
but he's not because it's more like it could also be self doubt. The fear of not winning as well. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that we got two suits of the same. It's pretty interesting right there.
Right.
Okay, the last suit,
All
pile
right.
three. Wow, I got the king of wands and not wands, swords reverse.
Hmm.
Okay, usually the king of wands is it's masculine energy. It's power. It's sort of like the queen of swords. Um, powers, seeing things from a broad perspective as well, but it's in reverse. So we're having internal conflict here. We're having. I see somebody in the chat says I'm scared now for pile three.
Uh oh.
Okay. Yeah. So let me clarify this. Shuffle the deck one good time. Yeah, it's internal. It could be self doubt. It could be not using logic or reasoning because usually and it's an air sign as well because air signs quick, swift, fast moving energy. It's like our thoughts and stuff as well. So it's very interesting. Let's see what I can. Let's see what we get here.
Now, if somebody's watching this video tomorrow, right? So it's going to be in the past for them, but they're watching it and they choose one, two, or three. Will it still be relative to them, even though it won't be at live?
Yes, yes. I mean, it could be, but I'm just doing like um, general. So there's really no time limit really with this because usually if I'm like wanting to see something, if I want to see past, present, or future, I would have three piles named. I would name them mentally or verbally, past, present, future, and so the gods know what I'm trying to do. So in this instance, I'm not really. It's not really a time limit. It's more like a general type of thing because I didn't say um, for tomorrow, 3 days, 4 days, a week, a month. I didn't say any of that. So, but they understand. So I think it would be relevant because it's just general.
Hmm.
So the general energy is what we're dealing with at the moment. So I mean, okay, so I got the Hierophant reverse. That can represent a rebellion from the status quo. And not following the male patriarchy or the normalized religious type of viewpoints. You're rebelling against structure and what is considered normal. So, got two cards reverse. Now that could be good because it could be like thinking for yourself. You can also be thinking for yourself. Um, or you can be just like rebelling for it's just like so many. It's a dynamic, but basically what it is a structure. This guy's like, think of him like the Pope, right? And so when it's in reverse, you're rebelling against his doctrine, his the status quo. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the Pope. It could also represent a country you're in as well, the structure of a country or whatever. but it's in reverse. So it's like a rebellion type of energy here. So it's like Kyle 3's at war with the status quo, and they're unable to use logic and reason to navigate around the rebellion against the status quo, so to say. That's what I feel like there. Yeah.
Now, do you ever do readings for yourself?
Yes, constantly.
Constantly? That's like, what
Well,
is
not
that?
like not like nonstop, but you know what, daily.
Daily?
And I do it often, maybe 10 times. I can shuffle 10, 15 times a day, but it's like throughout the day, not just like nonstop. You know what I mean? But I'm practicing a lot and stuff like that, and it's fun.
Wow. All right, Merlin. Well, thank you so much for coming and giving us all a reading this time. If you guys get a chance and you haven't seen it, I did a podcast with Merlin about 2 weeks ago. So check it out.
And check out my YouTube channel too.
Yeah.
By the way, I got all the zodiac signs for today and tomorrow posted. So everyone's zodiac, all 12 zodiac signs are posted to my page in short clips and shorts. And so they can check that out too as well if they want, because they can still play. It goes through Saturday and Sunday, so it goes through the rest of the evening and tomorrow as well.
Awesome. By the way, are you still doing the readings in Discord?
I am, but I've been scattered, but I am definitely open to giving anyone that wants one tomorrow. For a reading there. All you have to do is direct message me, like on that app, and I'll see what their schedule is and see what we can do.
All right, there you go, guys. You can DM him, and by the way, Discord is also for your phone. You can do it on your computer. I'm assuming your iPad, and your phone. So you can find him there, and he'll be there tomorrow.
Sir.
All right, Merlin, thank you so much for coming in and sharing with us and helping us out and giving us a reading. We appreciate you, and have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you. I appreciate everyone too. Y'all, thank you for allowing me to come on here and the wacky wisdom. Okay.
All right. Have a great Sunday. All right. So next up is Leslie Collins, and there's 160 of you here, so there should be almost 2 people behind Leslie. All right, we can do ask to unmute and ask to start video. There she is. All right, we just have to help you unmute it. That's all. You hear me?
Hi.
Hey, Leslie.
Hi. I didn't realize this is my first time on the call, so I didn't realize
Well,
I was going to
welcome.
be on.
Well, welcome. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from suburban Detroit.
Oh, nice. How do you like it there?
It's okay. I grew up here.
Mm-hmm.
Lived for 28 years in Seattle.
Oh, wow. That's a big change.
But Seattle's more my place.
Yeah.
And I will be going back after my 16-year-old graduates from high school.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's somewhere I've only been to Seattle once, but I thought it was so beautiful there, and I was like, I would like to live there. It seems though really expensive.
Yeah. I mean, I lived there. I moved there in the mid 80s, and it was a very different place. Mm-hmm. I'm just keeping my dog out of the popcorn.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say keeping your dog out of the camera, and I said it's okay. We can see your dog.
Where are you?
Wow, there looks like a Labradoodle.
My 8-month Aussie Doodle.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I don't really have any questions or anything, but just comments that I really enjoyed watching.
Great.
I became, after my parents died,
mm-hmm.
I think that's when I became, and COVID happened,
mm-hmm.
Fascinated with near-death experiences.
Mm-hmm. Did you experience them in a dream, perhaps?
No, I did have a lucid dream with my father.
How did he appear to you? Did he appear young, or how he looked right before he passed or transitioned?
You know, I don't really remember. I woke up and it was just so clearly his energy. And it was, you know, I teach meditation and I'm really into meditation. I just became a Chopra certified meditation teacher. And then I was really into meditation in my 20s and early 30s for 6 years, and had a guru and all this kind of West Coast kind of thing.
Mhm.
And but it was just, and so when I meditate, I have definitely popped into that other realm every now and again. It's almost like it's a window that opens up. I don't know if you've ever had that experience.
Well, let me ask you, what do you see? I mean, are you going out of your body, or do you just see flashes of another reality, or how do you determine that you are somewhere else?
It's almost like, so when I get into a deeper state, sometimes, I mean, every meditation's different, but when I get into a deeper state, I will get into a place where it looks like looking out into the universe with stars. So it has, and it's almost like it just comes into focus
I mean, does it kind of look like this in my background?
a little bit. It doesn't necessarily have color, but it's more like the black, you know, and then so many near-death experiencers talk about the blackness, but this definitely has like stars. And then just every now and again, different things happen, and then I just forget, and I don't keep a journal of it. But every now and again, it's like there's a window that's opening up, and things will just move, and it's like this window will open up, and I just sit and watch. You know, I'm just like, oh, this is so interesting.
Hmm.
And and there's that, and then but every now and again, it's almost like it's a cutout in the blackness with the stars, but it's a different realm because the colors are different, and a lot of times it's like geometric, like really complex geometric patterns, and all of a sudden it's just like this window will just, it just pops up, and then I just look at it, just like they talk about near death experience is more real
Right.
than this.
Yeah.
It's the level of how vivid it is, and it's almost like you know how HD TV can almost seem hyper real.
Yeah. Ultra
It
sharp.
it's like ultra sharp, ultra, and it does seem almost, I can see it. That's the only way that I can understand, because I've never had a near death experience. When they talk about it being more real, it's definitely a heightened, ultra sharp, ultra color. And then usually I can see these, I can't remember the word for it, but it's like these geometric patterns or some kind of, it's like math, you know. And so I have had those experiences. That's the closest I've ever had to. But this vivid dream with my father had that ultra real, like it's almost like the color, the density of the color is deeper. I don't know what gives it that ultra real feeling. It definitely had that, like there was a presence. I could feel his presence. And then but once I woke up, and that you leave that, like what I think of as a theta state. When you meditate, you go from beta to alpha, and then once I get into theta, then just like when you fall asleep, you go from beta, which is what you and I are doing here, to alpha, which is like a spacing out kind of, you know, daydreaming kind of thing. And a lot of hypnosis is in alpha. And then we just naturally do it when we fall asleep. We fall into theta. And when you're doing meditation, you can fall into theta, and that's when I can see, that's when those kind of patterns happen. And then in the morning, sometimes as I'm waking up, if I'm aware, then sometimes I can stay in theta and then I'll see some really cool patterns and color. And, that's like where I can, all that, all my visual stuff happens.
Did you get any kind of message from your father besides
Mm-mm.
just seeing him in that reality?
I wish. That's such a good question, but I wish I did. But I didn't really have any, I have to say, everything was said. I had no, other than losing someone and watching someone die for the first time, that was an experience. But I didn't really have anything that's unsaid, any left business that's undone, or so I don't really have any issues around losing him or my mom.
Right. Well,
Everything.
you never know. They may just pop in a dream and say, "Hey, I'm letting you know that I'm okay on the other side."
Well, and that's kind of like, oh, there he is. And it's kind of like, oh, this presence.
Or maybe he
And then
wanted.
two, I think just feeling their energy. I just described this to my sister. I'm trying to help my sister learn to meditate. And because it's such a peaceful place and she needs a peaceful place to go. And I think what's so profound about it, and I think there is that is that recognizing their energy, and that their energy is so distinct. And that when you meditate, it's like hanging out with that, your own energy. And your energy, each person's energy is totally unique and very distinct. There's a feeling. And so it definitely had that really, it was, and again, people who talk about near-death experiences, there's no question it was him, because it was his energy.
Well, kind of
So,
sounds like then he was letting you know he's still around, just in
yeah,
another dimension.
yeah, I think that's true. And I appreciate, the only other thing, I went for a run one day, and I went down we go on this dirt road and it crosses this great little path. And one day I looked down, and all the white, what's normally a reflection from the sky in the water, little white patches of light, were rainbow colored.
Wow.
And with some dark red. And I thought, okay, am I seeing this? And I turned away and looked back. I mean, I must have done that 20 times.
Wow.
Make sure I wasn't seeing something. And I'd look away. All the white patches that would normally be a reflection of the sky or of the light were rainbow with like a dark red.
Wow, that's cool.
And that was definitely my parents. Yeah. And my brother had a visual thing too. He was out walking the dog like the day after my father died. And there were like 5 burgundy pillows floating in the air ahead of him. And he's not into this kind of stuff at all. And he walked, and he was walking with the dog. And as he walked, the pillow that came the closest would then end up at the end of the row, so that it maintained 5, like, I wasn't there, so I didn't see them, but like these 5 little burgundy pillows floating in the air. And I said, how long did that last, walking through the park that he goes and takes his dog every day? And he said it was probably, it happened and stayed there for like the length of a football field, which is a long time.
When you say pillow, are you meaning like pillowy like clouds?
Yeah, like a pillowy cloud. Exactly.
I mean, not literally a pillow, but something like that.
Oh, like a cloud, kind of like a square. Yeah, just like a little, almost like, I mean, again, I don't know how big it was, but it was, and I love that it happened to my brother, who's kind of a doubter. He's like, oh, that's spiritual stuff. He just rolls his eyes at me.
What does he
And I'm
say?
like,
What is his conclusion?
whatever.
What does he conclude those to be then?
Well, so I'm glad it happened to him. And no, I think he definitely thought it was my father, because it was the day after. And then what happened is his dog barked. He turned around and looked at the dog. And when he looked back, they were gone.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
So
That's really wild.
yeah, so it was a communication like I'm here. And I love that it happened to him because he's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a doubter, and always has been. And I've always been the spiritual one.
Well, clouds
And
just don't disappear immediately either. So,
let alone burgundy clouds that hang in
yeah.
the sky in front of you.
I wonder what that is.
And we have 5 kids in the family, five clouds.
Was there a certain is there a certain symbol with the color burgundy or a significance to it?
He had a burgundy robe.
Hmm.
He had a burgundy robe, and as they got older, they wore the robe more because he was sick and in the house and didn't get dressed and go out as much. So that's the only thing I can think of. And then my mother wore that same robe after he died.
It's funny for me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's it's not even another. Whenever I think of robe, I think of an old friend from chiropractic school that he had a robe, but he called it his smoking jacket.
This was like a big, heavy terry cloth robe, because it's Michigan, tends to be cold in the wintertime, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, but he wore it more and more as he got older. He had a breathing problem or a fibrous lung problem.
Right.
But wasn't a smoker. But we're all going to die of something eventually.
Yep.
But I mean, listening to the near-death experiences, I listen to them all the time because they teach me about our true nature.
Yeah, I think they're great also because we're bombarded by so much negativity that at least it gives you some hope and or some positivity and something positive.
Well, and it's like the meta level to put everything into context about the whole purpose of being here, which I have asked that question since I was very young. Like, and this would be about what?
Right.
So, and the patterns that you hear, the repeating patterns, the way people like describe the Akashic records as this, like the Romanesque or the Greek Greco-Roman architecture, and the parallels I think are so fascinating. And then you get so many hundreds and hundreds. I don't know how many. Well, you're on 400 something.
Yeah, they're not all NDEs, but we were looking the other day, and it's over 300 NDEs that I've done. So, people always ask, not always, but from time to time, are you going to ever write a book or what is your opinion? And I was telling my wife the other day that I think that, I don't know when I'll be ready, but I think my minimum number is like after I've done 1,000 NDE videos, and I'll feel like, okay, it's just an arbitrary number anyways, but maybe that number is a good number from the side. Maybe I can write down my thoughts on it all. Talking to 1,000. It doesn't have to be 1,000. It could be 500 or whatever, but I just feel like 1,000 feels like a good number for me.
Well, and then it would be hard for me to report on that because I haven't had that experience myself.
Yeah, me either.
So when you're looking at it from the outside, in order to comment on it, I think with any, since I've never had one, I can see wanting like 1,000 experiences just so that you feel like you have some expertise and something to say.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Leslie.
But I enjoy them so much. I just love watching them.
Thank you so much, and thank you very much for watching. And hey, if you know anybody who wants some upliftment, please share the videos.
I do. I forward them on to people, and they may think I'm a little wacky, but hopefully, when people are open and it's their time to learn about it, then I actually send you an email about, I think a girlfriend of mine, I think one of her brothers had maybe committed suicide. That's because she made reference to it when I was teaching her meditation. And, people have it's such a, I think, misunderstood or stigmatized, but so many of the people who I've heard you interview have said, if you cross over, those kinds of things don't seem to matter. Though some people have had like strange experiences, and then they go like, God help me, and then they go to the light.
Yeah.
But the suicide, I really appreciate your response, because that's a big deal that was a big deal for her.
Right.
And I pass that on. I can say my impression, everyone's, made of the same stuff. We're all in, so
Right.
it's all love. So however you get there, I wouldn't judge it. So
Right. I agree.
but I appreciate your response, and I forwarded that to her. So thank you.
All right. Again, I'm sorry I have to run,
No,
but I will. I appreciate you, and thanks again for watching.
yeah, thank you.
All right. Take care, Leslie.
Take care.
Bye. All right. Next up is Soren. See, I think I can hear her background. I just don't see her yet. But Soren, if you can hear me, mute the YouTube video.
Yep.
It's all up. So however you get there.
Hey, Soren.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Good. Look, did you get a new hairstyle?
Just a cut.
Looks
Same
good.
cut.
Looks great.
So I found a poem, and I'd like to read it to you.
Well, please do.
It made me think of you and your guests. So this is a poem called Geranius. And it's by Cardinal John Henry Newman,
Right,
who was an archbishop.
Before you read it, that may help me. I'm really big on words and definitions.
Geranius is a man's name.
Okay, good, thank you.
And he was an archbishop in the 1800s, and he wrote this poem. Now it's very, 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 very long, so I'm not going to read the whole thing. I wouldn't be able to. But I'll tell you in the beginning, he's on his deathbed. He's dying. A priest comes, gives him extreme unction. Other assistants come. He says a few words. But I'm going to start here in the middle with part 2, which is called Soul of Geranius. I went to sleep, and now I am refreshed, a strange refreshment, for I feel in me an inexpressive lightness and a sense of freedom, as if I were at length myself. And ne'er had I been before. How still it is. I hear no more the busy beat of time, no, nor my fluttering breath, nor struggling pulse, nor does one moment differ from the next. I had a dream, yeah. Someone softly said, he's gone. And then a sigh went around the room, and then I heard a priestly voice cry, Sub venete. And they all knelt in prayer. I seem to hear him still, but thin and low and fainter, more faint, and the accents come as at an ever widening interval. And whence is this? What is this severance? This silent pours a solitariness into the very essence of my soul, and the deep rest, so soothing, so sweet, hath found something. It also has something of sternness and of pain, for it drives back my thoughts upon their spring by a strange inversion, and perforce I now begin to feed on myself, because I have naught else to feed on. Am I alive or dead? I'm not dead, for I possess the body still, for I possess a sort of confidence which clings to me, that each particular organ holds its place as heretofore, combining with the rest into one symmetry that wraps me round and makes me man. And surely I could move, did I but will it, every part of me, and yet I cannot seem to bring my sense home, by that very trial, I have the power. 'Tis strange, I cannot stir a hand or foot. I cannot make my fingers or my lips by mutual pressure witness each to the other, nor by the eyelids' instantaneous stroke assure myself that I have a body still. Nor do I know my very attitude, nor if I stand or lie or sit or kneel. So much I know, not knowing how I know, that the vast universe where I've dwelt is quitting me, or I'm quitting it, or or is it rushing on the wings of light and lightning on an upward course? And we even now are 1,000,000 miles apart, and yet this promontory severance wrought out in lengthening measures of space, which I grow and multiply by speed and me, or am I traversing infinity by endless subdivision, hurrying back from finite toward infinitesimal, this dying out of the expansed world? Another marvel. Someone has me fast within his ample palm. 'Tis not a grasp such as they use on earth, but all around, all the surface of my subtle being, as though I were a sphere and capable to be accosted thus. A uniform and gentle pressure tells me I'm not self-moving, but borne forward on my way. And hark, I hear a singing, yet in sooth, I cannot of that music rightly say whether I hear or touch or taste the tones. Oh, what is heart-subduing melody. And then an angel comes in. May I read what the angel says?
Yes, but before you do, I just want to have something in my mind. When was this poem written?
Well, it would have been written in the late 1800s.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's carry on.
I don't know the exact date. So the angel, I'll change my voice a little. He'll be a male angel. So the angel says, oh, my work is done. My task is over. And so I come, taking it home, for the crown is won. Alleluia, forevermore. My Father gave in charge to me this child of earth, even before its birth, to serve and save. Alleluia, saved he is. This child of clay to me was given to rear and train by sorrow and pain in the natural way. Alleluia, from soul, from earth to heaven. And then very briefly, the soul now comes back and talks to the angel. Yeah, that's a member of that family of wondrous beings who, ere the worlds were made, millions of ages back, have stood around the throne of God. He's never known sin. But through these cycles, all but infinite, he has a strong and pure celestial life and bore to gaze on the unveiled face of God and drank from the eternal fount of truth and served him with a keen, ecstatic love. Hark, he begins again. And on it goes. So
that's amazing. That's like, to me, it sounds like a written account of an OBE
well, yeah,
from the 1800s. I mean, I don't.
That's right.
I don't know what else you could say about that, and I don't know if I've ever heard anybody write that in that time period.
That's right. That's right. That's why I knew you would want to hear it. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And it just gets better and better. He's got angels and demons, and he talks to all kinds. It's really a play.
Do you think that? Do you know anybody? Do you know anything about the author and if he or she had an actual? OBE?
I don't know a single thing about him. I've never heard of him, but he happened to appear on a list, and I don't know the man's name who wrote the list, but I heard him give a lecture on YouTube of 10 great books that you must read before you die. So instead of putting one in each of the 10, he sneaked in 2, and then he sneaked in a third. So you get 30 great books. And he had them divided into categories. And one of his categories was poetry. And in poetry, he listed 2 of the greatest poems of all time. And this was one of them.
Wow.
Yeah. So I immediately went and read it and thought of you.
Well, thank you. At one time, I wasn't really sure if it was an OBE. I was almost starting to think, well, he couldn't move. Was it sleep paralysis? But then sometimes people who have sleep paralysis do go out and astral travel.
Oh yeah, it seemed pretty much that he was out there.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows, but
Are you aware of other things in literature like this example of an OBE that would, talk about paranormal activities? I mean, just general angel stuff is not really enough, because that seems, like even Shakespeare's, I think, talking to ghosts and
yeah.
angels. But I mean, this is more of a descriptive OBE. Are you aware of any other things in literature, world literature like that?
None that I can think of, but there must be many. Were I to reread some of the older stuff now, when I'm older and wiser, because people in the olden days lived in a world of spirits. We don't anymore. We live in a world that we think is understood by science,
Yeah.
so spirits we brush off. But I'll bet you even Shakespeare, if you really thought about it that way, his father's ghost was there. His father's ghost couldn't leave the castle. Hamlet.
That's interesting. If you won't mind, before you go, you have an interesting name, Soren. Where does that name, or what is your nationality? Where does that name come from?
Well, my nationality, I should be changing that. My nationality is Polish, but Soren is a Danish name. In fact, it's a Danish male name. And it's a name that I took because I was an actress once upon a time. So it's not my real name.
It's not your Christian
But everybody
name.
calls me Soren, so.
Oh, interesting. And I think you
But
said you're in
anyways,
Hollywood, right? Didn't you say you're in Hollywood?
I do. I live in Hollywood, yeah.
So is that what brought you there, as acting?
You could either say acting or the man I was to marry, or a combination thereof.
I was going to start to make a joke, like, okay, acting in the marriage, or literal acting.
Well, I mean, it was he who called.
Yeah.
But, it was Hollywood. It wasn't, and it was something, because I had come from San Francisco and then New York. And so Hollywood, that sounded okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming and sharing that with us. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I hope you come back and visit us again.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great weekend. Right. That was cool. That was amazing, actually, to have a poem write about OBEs from the 1800s. Next is Jade. We're moving right along, so that's great. While we're waiting for her, I did a podcast this morning with RJ Spina. And RJ Spina is the man that he was paralyzed from the chest down, and he healed himself. And I did that podcast probably around 6 months ago. And today we were talking about frequencies and consciousness projection. And we'll get to that in a minute. Let's get to Jade. Jade, can you hear me?
I can hear you now, yes.
All right. Where are you?
Hi.
Hi. Have you been on before?
Yeah.
I thought I recognized you. Where are you from again? I forgot.
From New York. I hope the background noise is not too much.
I don't hear anything.
Okay, good.
Yeah. What do you have to share with us this time?
So just some updates and to share some stories. One of the
I'm so sorry. I'm just trying to remember you. You're from Brooklyn?
No, from the Bronx.
The Bronx. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So last time I shared that I was gonna move because, well, not really because the apartment is haunted,
right,
but for other reasons.
Right. I kind of remember that.
Yeah, and then so that's what I was gonna share with you, that recently I went to a psychic that she's well known, and again she spoke to me about the ghost, and she told me that the ghost wants to bake with me. And it's so odd because I've bought all these things for baking, and I'm not into baking. Like, you know, like even ideas I thought of baking, and I'm like, why am I into baking?
And the ghost wants to bake with you?
Yeah, that's what
Interesting.
the psychic told me.
Wow.
But yeah, and it's been like almost close to a year that I keep buying things for baking, but I'm not a baker. Like, I make little stuff like cheesecakes and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but lately I've been buying more things like as if I was a baker.
Mm.
So, and this medium is well known, so she's she's the real deal.
Yeah.
And then last time I have a 2-year-old. He keeps seeing the ghost and keeps saying like hi and bye.
Mm-hmm.
So I know there's something around, like you feel the presence around. And it just was, I wanted to share that because it's so weird. I've tried to move out of there like for over 5 years and I haven't been able to.
Mm-hmm. Does the ghost bother you in any way?
No, I just, before, you will feel like a cold spaces and cold rooms, but that's changed. So that's what really bothered me. And then now it's just sometimes you feel something with you, or like you look around, like you feel a presence, you feel something in the room with you, or like in the past, it hasn't happened lately, where his toys will go off. Let's say there was like a little fire truck or something with noise, like in a room, in another room, it will go off by itself. But I haven't been bothered by it, no.
Have you ever asked your neighbors or your landlord about, about the ghost, or if anybody had passed in your apartment?
I haven't asked. I should ask. I know that someone did tell me that supposedly an elderly couple passed away there. Um, but I should ask. I haven't. I should do that.
I
I don't
wonder if
know.
the
Yeah,
ghost can go through walls and goes to other people's apartments as well.
maybe, because you just reminded me. My son was when we were leaving last time, he was looking down the stairs outside the apartment. So I don't know what he was looking at because we were the only two in the hallway.
Hmm. Interesting. So when are you going to
Yeah.
start baking something?
So I think I might even do a YouTube to see how, something
You
like
never
that,
know. Maybe
because
the ghost is telling you need to start a YouTube channel.
probably. And the other thing is, I was inspired because I've been taking mediumship classes, like
Mm-hmm.
psychic class.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna see if maybe I start a YouTube or something, and if I get better at it with mediumship, I might come back and see if I can offer some of your other what do you call
And you can go on Discord and do some free channelings or readings or whatever. That's if you want to practice, and that would be a great place to practice, because I set it up where it's just whoever wants to do services there, just do it for free. And if you need, if you're just getting into it and want to work on your skills, then that would be a perfect place.
I would love that. So yeah, I haven't joined Discord. I forgot to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to get better at it. I know my family members are really good. Like my mom is
Oh wow,
a good psychic. Like she's even been told by other psychics, like, you're better than me. You should be doing this. But she doesn't want to do it. She's not interested. And so is my sister. My sister, when somebody nearby is about to pass away, she senses their death, or like they visit her in the dreams.
You don't
Yeah,
mind me
so
asking, what nationality are you?
we're mixed. We're Dominican and Haitian.
Dominican. Okay, yeah. So you're, my first guess was Puerto Rican, but I'm close. I'm in the Caribbean Sea.
Yeah, we're close. A lot of Dominicans go to Puerto Rico, so
Mm-hmm.
we're like, it's like saying cousins. Yeah.
Is the paranormal popular down there, or is it, people being mediums and doing all that kind of stuff? Is that common or uncommon there? Do you have any idea?
It's a mix of both because there are some families that are really conservative and they don't explore it. And then you have others that do explore it and are mediums. And they explore like through different ways, like they can read candles. There's something popular called reading the tazas, the coffee. They look at the coffee. So there's different, you get half and half. Some are conservatives, and I have it in the family too. Some that do not believe it.
Right.
But from my side, like I said, my mom's really psychic, but she doesn't use it at all. She doesn't.
Have you had your family over to your apartment to see if they can get in touch with a ghost?
Yeah, they have actually some of them have seen her. The ghost is a female ghost. Most of them have seen her, and for me, she appeared to me one time in a poster, like in a small picture. So yeah, my family has seen her.
I don't know if you like her around or not. If you don't, have you ever considered, saying, "Hey, you're dead. You can, you can move on," or you have, you can burn sage or have someone else come and clear your apartment?
I thought about it, and that's why I'm kind of mixed, like thinking like, is it her space or my space? So I'm kind of like, I'm a little bit on the fence, like, because I thought also of moving. So I'm like, is it really her space or my space if I move?
Yeah, I'd say it's your space. I mean, she's not in she's not in a physical body anymore. She's,
That's true.
bodiless. So it's, she may be confused. I think a lot of ghosts, quote unquote, they had a tragic ending and they're confused at where they're at, or a lot of them are really attached and sticking around but I think a lot of them are attached to people, not really places so much.
That could
But
be.
I'm not a ghost
I've
expert.
thought of it. No, but you've heard enough shared stories here and anecdotes to know. But I just feel like I'm on the fence because if I move, I feel like, well, isn't that her space? So I'm just a bit like on the fence, but I have thought about it, like, and I do cleanse, I do sage, I do that, just with the regular sage or the other one, Palo Santo.
Okay.
Yeah, but it hasn't bothered me. The only thing is, like I said, I guess she wants to bake with me or cook.
Well, I think you have a great opportunity is to start doing some Dominican cooking. And if you get your mediumship good enough, you can be Jade and the Ghost cooking channel.
I guess, yeah. And your guess.
It would be because there's probably a ton of cooking channels, so you've got to be something that makes you stand out.
Right? I
Yeah.
guess.
You never know.
You never know. Hey, so it's true. I have all these baking things and I'm not a baker.
Right.
So maybe I'll come back and like I said, I'll share an update with you and your guys.
That would be awesome. All right, Jay. Well, I'm going to run. Thank you so much for coming back and updating us. And I wish you the best. And, at least if you're not in Discord, join Discord and you can maybe test your skills, as well as you can take some pictures of the stuff you bake and say, this is what I'm baking now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much again for your channel.
All right. Thank you. Have a great rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
You too.
Oh, she's already gone. I didn't have to remove her. Don't report. All right, so there's about 200 of you guys in there, so that means I should have at least two people waiting to get in. So I was talking about my podcast with RJ Spina, and I don't want to give it away, but we talked about something. After doing 500 podcasts, there's not too much I hear that I kind of get blown away anymore. I do quite often learn new things, which I think is really cool. But he told me something today that was kind of like mind blowing, at least for me. And I'll be curious to see what you guys think if you watch it. And John Scott's here. Maybe he'll pop in and say hello. It's two people. He's already with. All right. We got Mr. Cake too. Let me get Galaxy. And tomorrow I'm going to be recording with a woman, and I think she is a Jewish NDE researcher, so I think that should be really interesting. Hello, James. How are you?
Good. How's it going, Jeff?
Great. What's going on with you this week?
Nothing. I just wanted to say happy 4th of July.
Well, thank you very much. Same to you. Are you going to be going to fireworks on Monday?
Hopefully, we live right around the college area, so we might celebrate with them.
All right, and that's it's good that you brought that up because I'm recording. I don't post the same day that I record the podcast. I usually have at least a 1-day turnaround, so I'm going to be posting a video on July 4th in the evening time like I usually do, and it's going to be actually the one that's going to be recorded tomorrow. So just to let you know, there will be a video up. You may not watch it until after you finish celebrating the fireworks and whatever you're doing out there, but there will be one. Just to let you guys know. So for you, James, I wish you an awesome, holiday, and I hope you enjoy the fireworks. And what else are you going to be doing? Anything special?
Not much. I'm probably going to go shopping. I'm cleaning my mom's house, so yeah.
What are you shopping for?
I don't know, just books, stuff.
Oh.
I'm trying to get your merch from your Happy Family. I found it on Bonfire.
Oh, okay.
So I'm thinking about getting that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you have anything else you'd like to share?
Yeah, I just want to say happy 10-year anniversary to your other channel.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. What's so funny is I don't know if it was you that brought it up or someone else brought it up the other day. And just for you guys, I have multiple channels, and our biggest channel is called Happy Family 1004, and it's about toy guns. And we used to make all these animated, scripted videos about, with me and my children and fighting zombies and all this stuff. And I don't know if it was you or the other day, it was you or somebody else that pointed out that is the 10th year on July 3rd of when my wife actually started that channel. And it's amazing. I just didn't keep up with it. And we were like, should we celebrate or do something? And we kind of like, no, I guess not. But thank you so much for that. Yeah, it's a great milestone for that channel.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah.
Yeah, it was you. That's cool. I'm glad. See, you were more aware of it than I was. I wasn't even aware where we were at on that.
But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. And your podcast helped me sleep. It's just very, very calming to hear all the guests.
Well, cool. I'm glad that's so helpful. Thank you for letting us know.
You're welcome. You have a great one.
All right, James. Have a great rest of your weekend. Enjoy your 4th of July, and take care. And I'll see you. Hopefully, I'll see you back.
You too. We love you, man.
All right. Love you too.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right. Next up is Mr. Cake. Mr. Cake, and I wonder what he's planning for the 4th of July. Will he be doing anything special? Taking him a moment to pop on. So yeah, I hope you guys will enjoy that podcast tomorrow. It is definitely, I think, something that you guys most of you have never heard of before.
Mr. Cake, and I wonder what
there he is.
Well, I'm sorry, my internet's not very good out in Tatooine. They don't have the best internet connection up here.
I thought you would start out
Searching
with,
for lost relic.
wouldn't you? Isn't it hello there? Have you heard about that meme going
Well,
on?
hello there.
Yeah. Have you been watching the Kenobi
I
series?
kind of look like him. So.
Yeah, you do. You actually just have to grow your
No,
beard
I
out.
only watch how they criticize it.
Oh man,
Of course, yes.
I think it's
Get a
been,
lightsaber.
I think it's really good. I'm really happy with it. I can see some complaints on the very first one because the first one is kind of slow. There's not much action, and it's just kind of getting you familiar with what Obi-Wan's been up to for the last 10 years. But then after that, it picks up.
Yeah,
the
so
pace.
you had a lady on. She said she was from Hollywood, and I said she sounds like the secretary from Liar Liar. All righty then.
That's a good. I don't remember that. I remember the movie, but I don't remember it in that much detail.
Yeah, it was a great movie because it basically shows the absurdity of lying. And most people are lying all the time.
Yeah.
But everyone should. Honesty is the best policy.
Right. I agree with you. I totally agree. Your internet is a little funky today. You're a little bit laggy.
Yeah, it's bad.
There's something with your maybe the force is affecting the energy of your.
May the force be with you, darling.
So
yeah, like I said, I got a bad computer, bad internet.
You just can do what you go straight from your computer, not your phone, right?
But I got a new movie out. There's a new Jurassic Park movie, and with my favorite actor, Jeff Goldblum. And one time I asked him, I said, how did they get that giant pile of dinosaur trappings? How did they get that? See, the dinosaur is about the size of a Volkswagen, and the pile of droppings is just smaller than a Volkswagen, and that's how they got it in there. They just crammed it all in there, and that's how they did it. So people liked Kermit the Frog when they did that the last time, so I thought it'd be funny to do it again. So, hello, everyone. I brought a friend today. And we're gonna have a spirit friend with me, and she likes to move my body. So if I'm out walking, I was walking to the store, and she was doing this, moving my hand. She would pull my hand up and move it around like a puppet. So I thought, Grimmy, so you want to have a friend with me, don't you? All right, let's sing a song. I'm all swamped in the swamp, and we're all bogged down in the bog, and we're all ponds in the pond, and I'm green with envy of you. She likes that one.
You know what's interesting is that Kermit is not far from Yoda in voice.
Yoda, yes, we are all the same, aren't we? He doesn't. The more impressions you do, the more you realize that everything is similar. Like there's a just slight difference in everything.
I've noticed. I noticed that on your videos you turned off your comments. We're getting a lot of hate.
See, that's probably not me doing that. That's probably YouTube.
Oh.
Because I have to go in there and then enable it.
Right.
So I don't know what's going on with that. And I haven't posted in a while because things have been going pretty badly. And like I said, my laptop crashed.
Right. Someone contacted me recently and was telling me to go watch your video of orbs. And I said, I think I responded and said, yeah, I've seen his orbs before. So your orb videos may be gaining some popularity.
Yeah, in order for them to appear like the sun, because I mentioned it's for 99%, I've had them at night and I call it the magic window, but I don't see that anymore. It's super rare. But most of the time it's because the sun's coming in at just the right, where it's just right near the lens of the camera. And it starts up. And like it surprised me because I had no clue, because I had recorded thousands of videos. I've never seen any orbs, and then all of a sudden they start appearing. So here's so you had a lady on that talked about Bigfoot, and I've always been interested in mysteries.
That was
and the more Saturday. I look into it, the more I look into things, the more I think everything is spiritual based. Okay. And I've had dreams with Bigfoot, and I think that all a spiritual entity that can have different features. It can have more ape-like features, more wolf-like features, more bear-like features. So people think that they're different entities where they might be the same type of entity, a spiritual entity and she said they could have horns, but it's not decoration, real horns. They're real antlers because they have all the animal DNA in them.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, maybe that there's some.
That's just my observation.
Maybe these beings are like shapeshifters, and they can do Bigfoot. They can do whatever.
That's what I think.
But I would assume for you would think that all.
And then I mentioned that I don't think that. Yes, the aliens are coming from another dimension.
Well, no, I was going to say that. I was going to say probably for you, you would consider that Bigfoot and whatever they're shapeshifting, all those are just demons.
I don't think Bigfoot is, I think he's more like, I think nature spirits are more neutral. I don't think that they're like interested in harming humans, but I think that there are negative entities that want to. That's why they say don't mess with a Ouija board, because you don't know who you're calling in. You might be calling in something negative. So that's why they warn against stuff like that.
It's interesting that you call them nature spirits. What is your take on fairies?
They're probably some, like I said, all those leprechauns, fairies are all probably some type of nature spirit. I don't know that much about them.
Did you hear?
They probably can pop in and out.
Did you see my NDE guest who wrecked his bike? He kind of went unconscious, had an NDE, and when he came back, he was laying on the ground and then was seeing fairies.
Say 99% of your content. So,
I don't know if you. I don't know you. Did you catch that one? You're real laggy right now.
My internet must.
You're frozen.
Yeah.
You're frozen. Oh, now you're back. Well, do you have anything? Do you have any new impressions to share with us this week?
Jeff, I'm really tired of you making fun of my voice on this show. That's why I became a boxer. So I can punch you right in the face, so you can learn some respect.
That's a new one. That's a good one.
Yeah, Mike Tyson there.
I think still for me personally, my favorite is Donald Trump.
Let me tell you something, folks. We're going to be doing something huge. It's going to be very, very big, and you're going to love it. You're going to be wishing for some big losses, but you're only going to get big wins.
I've been doing Forrest Gump lately too a lot. I like to go out and go fishing. It's fun. Throw your rod in the water and the fish brings it back. Real fun. My friend likes to follow me around. I don't know what she said, Gump, you must have an IQ of 160. And I said, that's right, because I just do whatever you tell me to do there, Sergeant.
All right, Stephen. Well, I'm going to run to the next person. Thanks for coming in and hanging with us.
You got to do what you got to do, man. I'm going to put on my Michael Jackson, suit that I got, and wear some glasses, it's pretty hip and cool, man, All right, thanks everyone, and God bless. And I appreciate the prayers and the thoughts and everything.
All right, thank you, Stephen. God bless. Oh, he's gone. God bless you. All right, we got Mr. John Scott here, and he's been working on his, trying to get his Zoom thing. So let's see if he's got it fixed. And I've got a question I want to ask him, and so it's a perfect timing that he shows up. And we can hopefully get this answer from him.
I appreciate the prayers and the thoughts.
All right, looks like you got it working. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Ooh,
I guess
that sounded like God talking to me. You know, this big booming voice.
John.
Wow.
I got a good question for you because someone posed this question to me, and I think it's a perfect timing that I can ask you. Quite often I have people on and we talk about the ascension, and we talk about that we're going from 3D to 5D, and that's kind of like, I guess, the third frequency to the fifth frequency. Why does everybody skip the fourth frequency or 4D, and what is 4D?
Hang on, I've got an echo coming through.
Oh.
Big echo. I'm listening to you 30 seconds ago. Hang on.
Maybe you still have YouTube on. You have to turn off YouTube.
Okay, here we go. Gotcha. Sorry about that, Jeff.
No problem.
So just sort of, I got the whole question twice actually, and it was looping through twice. So okay. I think I'll try and analyze what was going on there, right? You're talking about ascension, and what else was associated with the ascension? Sorry.
Well, people, it's quite often we talk about the ascension, and it's most of the time the guests will say we're going from 3D to 5D, whether that's, third dimension to fifth dimension or third frequency to fifth frequency. Why do we skip the fourth one? And what is the fourth one that we're skipping over?
Okay, that's a good question. And I can paraphrase this from two cosmologies. You've got a New Age cosmology that uses the term ascension. Then you've got the Christian version talking about rapture or deliverance. Both mean exactly the same. We're going to insert an extra piece here. The fourth dimension is time, and this is the part that really people don't get, that time is elastic. Time pervades all dimensions until you cross over to the fifth dimension, right? The fifth dimension is still here residing in earthly consciousness. We have the third, fourth, and fifth. The third is basically, I think, paraphrased around Euclidean science, Euclidean geometry of depth, breadth, and space. So scientists have gone right into this three-dimensional construct ever since the Renaissance. They started to break down everything into smaller and smaller and smaller constituent parts. Okay, this was the way that they could find the structure of this universe, rather than hearing it from the Vatican or the Pope saying everything was God. Well, they started to really get down into deconstructionism, infinite parts. To expand that, now we've got the CERN particle accelerator in Switzerland that is still breaking it down to smaller and smaller ever constituent parts. Yeah. The irony is, the smaller the part, the more energy is involved. Atoms split, energy is released. Right. Quarks, muons, boson Higgs, and so on and so on. So time being elastic, and I'm going to go back to the conversation that I was having in the chat room. People were talking about hell. What is not commonly known is the Vatican released 3 talks in August, September, October 1997, I think, from memory. And it was about three canonical questions were phrased, and they released canonical, what would you call them, corrections by Pope John Paul I. This is important. It's really important. And
these are corrections to the Bible?
Yes, well, no, interpretive corrections to where heaven and hell were.
Okay.
And now I remember back, I just had my NDE about 10 years prior or something like that from memory. And I got the paper from the diocese because I knew exactly what was going on with this. I thought, oh my God, they've just flipped a 2,000-year script. It should have sent shockwaves through the whole of Christendom. There's 2 billion people that still have this erroneous concept that heaven and hell are 2 separate parts on the other side. And this doesn't dovetail with ascension, okay? Because what happens is, what I found is when I was in the light, yes, I saw hell, but it was on earth. There were no parts to God divisionary. That's a blasphemy in terms of a monotheistic God, that God is one. God cannot be separate. It cannot have parts that are burning or cages or people, in eternal hell. So hell was associated with time. And I give the word construct in my book. And it's an ancient Egyptian word construct of two parts. He, the god of endlessness and infinity, H-E-H. You can look this up on the Google. And El was the ancient name for Saturn, the planet Saturn. And this one is when we start to get into some very complex astrotheological concepts and cosmological concepts of consciousness binding to time. And how is consciousness bound by time, which is the fourth dimension? But when you're in the third dimension, time goes much slower. Now, we've all had that horrible job where we've sat there for 50 hours a day and you're looking at your clock every 2 minutes. When can I go home? You're in hell. Physical hell, ailment, suffering, death, trauma, all of this stuff that we talk of, that people are out there suffering are trapped in hell. Now, in the Buddhist cosmology, they call it samsara. And they say that your whole life should be about releasing yourself from all those samsaric defilements. And it starts with defilements, sins, like pride and lust and da-da-da-da-da. So by getting rid of those, it's not a moral edict. It's actually really an ethical one once you realize that you have been trapped in hell all your life and you are the only one that can get yourself out of it. No entity can get you out. Yes, teachers can show you the way and the door, but if you don't go through that door and do the work, the physical work, you're not going to get out. Hence, the reincarnation cycle repeats over and over and over, rinse and repeat.
What is the work that you are talking about, or what tips can we do to get out?
Well, again, this is a very interesting question because these tips and the work has been demonized as occult and evil. Meditation, yoga, all the things that we need to get out are being demonized. And they're saying that's evil. I said, really? Well, when you meditate, you can let in good and bad. It's how you perceive it because everything is on the inside. Look, I was watching a beautiful, and I haven't really completed the heaven-hell construct because it's such a vast narrative, Jeff. And even you got to say to yourself, why do these great beings come to earth in the first place? They don't come, they enter into hell to help those who are suffering, to show the way out of suffering. Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, all of these great masters, and they tell you attributes of suffering and attributes of non-suffering. The sad part about it was that with the Christendom, they don't tell you how to get out. They just say, follow me. Well, how? Not literally physically following. You're following a path of liberation. That's what's missing. All the Gnostic texts are missing in the Western Abrahamic religions. So they sit there and they debate and they argue, and we've got 40,000 denominations all arguing about when Jesus is going to come back. But he's inside you all the time. He's spirit. It's just a label we're putting on it, right? Buddha nature as in Buddhism, it's ever present, and it's something you should try to attain to release and liberate from time, density and third dimensional time and space. It's not just time, but time is the length, the expanded length of this dimension that you get stuck in. And the more liberated you become, time speeds up. Time speeds up incredibly. That's a sign of ascension. It's a hallmark of ascension.
Have you read the book by Yogananda? What was that? Well, I don't know how you pronounce the first name. Ramasanta Yogananda. You know what I'm talking about?
I think Angela Almeida might be able to help you with that. She would know. She's on the. But I have heard of him. Yeah.
I mean, is it the one Diary of a Yogi or Life of
That's
a
the one.
Yogananda?
Yeah.
I was wondering
Yes.
if you have read much of his life, and do you think that he is perhaps the most important ascended master that's been to Earth?
Well, I can't comment because I haven't read Yogananda's work.
Right.
I read a lot of similar works from Zen Buddhism when I was about 16. Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, and of course Jonathan Livingston Seagull. All of these books, you know, Jonathan Livingston Seagull was he had an NDE apparently. So a lot of these people are inspired, and you've got to remember a lot of these masters, of which I am not one, but they are reincarnating into the West to fatten out the whole West and Eastern concept, to merge the two principles and see the essential cosmology within them. So there's thousands of these masters, and someone so rightly said in the chat room that there are many that are unnamed. Some of them are invisible yogis. And look, I'll quote you something. I watched a fantastic video online yesterday on YouTube, and it was really moving. And it was about Arnie Rigson. She's a wandering nun, okay, a Tibetan nun. And she stopped shaving her head, and she left the pillow, and she left the monastery to find the great, what they call the body of light or rainbow body, where aspirants who've done an enormous amount of inner work, they can actually attain pure light at the point of death. And the story was fantastic, and I won't go through the whole story, of course, but she travels through Tibet because the landscape and the energy points are intermingled, through geomantic points that correspond to the chakras, which we all know about the chakras, and the light wheel's a Sanskrit word for light bodies inside you. And she comes across this crazy yogi. They call him the mad saint. This is like high up, getting closer and closer to the third eye, right? Anyway, they have this conversation, and she talks to him, and he's not a crazy saint. They call him the crazy saint, but he's not crazy at all. This guy's enlightened as hell. And that's the problem when really enlightened people come to Earth. They can sound mad to others. This is a real trait. So when you talk of Yogananda and all of these great Maharishis that talk, they can't talk about this mad stuff to the commoners or the laity, because people wouldn't get it, because the logic becomes so absurd when you get into those subtleties. But he gave a really nice little narrative here. He said, quote, "The heart of the path is to see all beings as one's own children." Mm-hmm. And then Arnie and then Dogyal have a smaller conversation. She says, "Is that it? I've come all this way to hear that one sentence?" So then the video moves on. Arnie and Dogyal, that's his name, Dogyal the mad saint. Then they go down to the lake, this sacred lake, and he starts to offer stones, just rocks, because he doesn't have anything of worldly value. And he starts building this little pile, a little pile of rocks. And he says, I imagine these stones as diamonds, as jewels, he says. And he starts building them up. He says, so eventually I can actually surround the whole lake with these offerings, but he's praying whilst he's doing it, which anybody who's got an acute awareness of spirituality, the action can be something so menial, but it's the prayer. His pure intent is radiating out of this magnetic geo spot, which he is the guardian of, but they don't tell you that. You have to figure that out. So then he says, there's really nothing to find. Do you understand? And Annie goes, yes, in response. I think so. And he says, do you understand? Like he reiterates, and Annie says, yes. And he realizes she doesn't understand, right? So gently he says, whether you understand or not, it makes no difference. The nature of mind remains unchanged, empty, yet cognizant, unfathomable, yet always present. You can recognize it only by its scent of compassion, meaning the smell of compassion. The key for understanding the essential point is found inside your own body. Learn to tame your inner energies and you'll understand everything. So that's all he said, but it is so pregnant with understanding how subtle the awareness behind all of our dramas are. It's always ever present. So we have to really spend most of our mind quietening it, which Jeff takes time. And we are in a time-poor Western world. These gurus are in a time-rich world. Yeah. So they've got all of this time to internalize and investigate. I'll leave you with a question. Who do you think is richer?
Of course they are. Let me ask you this. How do you define enlightenment?
When I come across somebody who is so willing to help others at the cost of themselves, at all costs, 24/7, I think that would pretty well answer the question. And there's some amazing beings out there who are just really trying their hardest to get us to wake up, no matter how tiny the crack is, how tiny the little bit of information it sends a ripple out. It helps people to release themselves from, situations that are sometimes untenable. We've all suffered. We all have suffered. I've suffered. You have suffered. Everyone in the chat room, everyone in the world, whether we know it, whether we're ignorant of it or not, we all suffer. So the whole goal here is to release or remove that suffering. Then we're going to have heaven on earth. We can do it, but it has to be done through actions. It's not some mystical,
Right.
unreachable goal. Yeah, you can do it right now, in little bits. It's just that these gentlemen that come occasionally, they have this incredible wealth of jewels inside them, and they just share them non-stop. Everyone wants the mystical knowledge, but it's like it's only attainable through. It's actually a conundrum. It's quite simple. Mystical knowledge is extremely simple. It convolutes back on itself. So yes, we need time to wake up. Hence, this is where reincarnation cosmology versus one life is really challenging. I'm a reincarnationist. I realised I've been here before. Not just realise, I know it. But that's you can get trapped in that stuff. Ego says, "Well, I was this and I was that." And that's really problematic. The real message is about releasing people from time. That's where hell is. You can't always help people. Some people have really difficult situations, losing loved ones, suffering. It's there. It's so palpable. It's so acute. So the main goal is to ultimately, we all want to be happy, right? We all want the world to be rocking and happy, and you can walk down the street at midnight and not be bashed or whatever. I mean, we know there's enough negative. Just turn the TV on.
During your NDE, did you communicate with your higher self?
I would say no. I went beyond my higher self because I was still dualized from the light, meaning I would not have asked my higher self. How did my higher self know questions that I could not even phrase? And I knew that this light was absolute. So I thought, I didn't even think it. I thought, and I'm trying to think it out because you don't think in the normal ways. I thought, I've got something vast here. This thing knows everything. So I'm going to ask some really big questions, really big ones, and I didn't hold back. But see, a lot of this is when the telepathic process again is like I had to break it down into 3 parts. There's this knowing where as soon as you die, you're going home. It's unsaid. There's no one saying, this is the path to heaven or whatever, or the path to the light. In some cases, people do see loved ones, yes, and that conversation was unraveling earlier in your talk. But there's this knowing aspect. But then I got beyond that. I mean, enormous amounts of knowingness came. And yes, I expanded on that later when I came back. But the actual questions I asked, I have no idea why I asked them, but I knew that this light knew it. It knew it. It knew everything. But how long was I going to be able to remain in that light to ask it everything? And remember, I didn't have a bunch of people saying, oh, just ask God this, ask God that, ask God this, ask God that. It's like, oh boy, it's like I wished I had 1,000 questions like now on a podcast.
Yeah.
But ultimately, everyone will come to very similar conclusions when they do have these experiences. Yeah, there's a few different variations. The commonality, Jeff, is love, absolute love, right? From what I can tell statistically, majority of them, they don't say there's hell on the other side. And so, and I said, I didn't complete what I said about the Vatican earlier, but they actually didn't say hell was on the other side at all. They said hell and heaven were states of being, which is a completely radical different shift than saying that both those states were post-death. And that was the content of those 3 talks, which I think people, you can't even get them online anymore because it really challenges the cosmology of where heaven and hell were. And there's not just one heaven, there's multiple heavens. And this is why people see different things. They go through, they might actually reside in the astral plane, and they might see family members and humans, people they know, animals, dogs, anthropomorphic imagery, green grass, these eclectic or electric colors. No, you can go further than that. Wait till you hit the celestial body. You can't even cognize what that is. These energies, pure quantum energies that fluctuate and have different tensions and pulling and pushing, but they underpin everything in what we know as the light speed dimension.
When you're out of your body, it's like you may go to one level is your higher self, then the next level is God or source. Do you believe you can go beyond God into something even further out?
No, you can't go past beyond God. No. God, because there's the dimensions that we're describing from your body to get to God. There are so many. There's dimensions. This goes beyond the third, fourth, and fifth dimension, which we can reach in this dimension. There are dimensions beyond that are just incomprehensible. As I said, these celestial body, the logoic body, that sent me a bit mad, bonkers for about 20 years because I just could not comprehend God in everything. And you've got to remember, I'm not some Maharishi sitting in nature and getting fed by people with food all day long to contemplate my navel. I had to hold down a job and I was just off my bloody rocker.
Right.
So there are other dimensions that are there, and they matter. Of course they matter. And they do affect us. Yes, they do affect us. But the majority of us are stuck in the time realm of emotional body, emotional constructs. Look at how many emotions we all lose. Our emotions, get angry and happy, and then you've got the mental plane and all the philosophies associated with that. Then you've got to get beyond that, and you've got to get into deconstructing every philosophy that's ever been written, because they've all been written from a platform of a mental projection. Somebody's opinion has made up these projections, and then they're basically put into like philosophical canon, for want of a better word, like Plato and Aristotle and Kant and Aristoteles, or whatever they call him, all the Greek. And then you've got it's not just Greek philosophers, we've got, there's thousands of philosophers out there, indigenous, African mythologies. But you go beyond that even. Once you go beyond mythology and you leave all of the earthly known knowledge from beginning to the end of time, you get into unknown territory where it's pure raw mind, pure raw states of being. And this is where it's very, very, very difficult to even explain it in terms of words or syntax, because we don't even have words to describe them, because so few people have experienced these states of being. Right. And if they have, they don't talk about it, on public forums like this. They usually rarely talk about it, in a cave with student to master, one-on-one,
right,
through oral tradition when they've reached that point.
Right. I don't know.
They're ready to say, are you ready for the big one? They go, yeah, okay. And then they have it. It's like, oh, that blows their head off. So he takes the place of the previous Maharishi. See what I'm saying?
I don't know if you caught my podcast the other day with Maureen St. Germain, but what was fascinating is we were talking about, the ascension and this stuff. But most people, I've always talked with all these guests about, all of us collectively moving into this, 5D reality. But we got into actually changing your own personal consciousness from 3D to 5D, and how to
correct. It's not physical, correct, but
change your own consciousness.
Correct, Jeff. And this is the thing is, the physical follows the mind, right? If you start to work on your mind, your physical will follow. But there's a conundrum where if you physically start to move on pilgrimage, for example, you're physically prostrating or walking and doing, your mind changes. So it's like a feedback loop. Both feed each other. Now, you can have a forced ascension, or you can have a personal ascension that you choose to take. Okay. Now, this is a really important point. Okay, let's imagine the box. You're in the box and you're happy in your box, and you don't want to grow outside your box because it's comfortable. And I was talking about this the other day, that we've reached a point when we've become too comfortable and something will push us out of the box without our permission. And no amount of resistance will prevent you from getting smashed out of the box. Now, this is coming from a metaphysical approach, because energy is now surging into this planet. The more people that wake up will cause an opening on the others that don't want to wake up. They will resist. They will even get to the point where they'll get angry. They'll get violence. They'll lash out. We've seen it happening. Families are disintegrating as we speak. I don't believe you. This is crazy stuff. People are literally turning on each other because the ones who are stuck in 3D, their comfort zone, are being pushed out now. And you're seeing families being rent into two. And the enlightened ones are saying, well, I've seen a higher vibration. I'm ascending. I'm going to have to let you go. This is all prophesied. I'm sorry, it's in the Bible. It says father will be against son, son will be against father-in-law, mother-in-law against daughter, on and on. So they're talking about chaos. It's like it's all written in all written sacred texts all around the world, from the Bhagavad Gita to the Bible to prophecies from Native Americans, indigenous people here. They've all got the same prophecies in essence. So having said that, the ascension is now being forced on us. We will not have enough time, time is the luxury we need. My internet connection is unstable. You can still hear me. Time is the luxury we need. So we're running out of time before this critical mass of ascension happens. This is why we're in global chaos. The light told me we were heading for chaos 30 years ago during my NDE, because I said, what's happening to us? This was one of these questions. I have no idea how I flipped from self to a Gestalt, meaning, the overall population of Earth. I don't know. Maybe those questions were pre-planted in me, Jeff. This is what I'm coming to conclude, because I didn't think about the whole world when I was young. Didn't give a rat's. I was very self-centered. Of course, we all are when we're young. And so if we're heading for chaos, I said, chaos? Like, what chaos? This was like in 1987, 98, way back then. We weren't in chaos. I couldn't see any chaos. My life was just happy, clappy, whatever. But now we can see the world really in upheaval on every level.
Yeah. Well, speaking of time, I've got to run. I've got a couple people waiting on me. But if you want to know more about John's NDE, he has a book called God's Mountain. And he is also a terrific artist, as you can see behind him. Looks like something you're working on that looks pretty interesting. And we're still waiting on my challenge for him to paint an NDE. And he doesn't have any comment on that.
That challenge,
challenge is
I think I did say something in the last time we spoke that I would attempt to.
Even if you do it even if you paint something this size, you don't have to paint something so grand. 8 by 10.
Oh my god, miniature, micro.
Yeah, because you paint in large scale, so you can scale it down to 8 by 10.
Jeff, I'll give you a quick lesson. Get your pen, put a little dot right in the middle of a blank page, and say that's your soul compared to the rest of the light. Okay, that's it. The smallest pinpoint you can imagine. Just pop it right in the middle if you can. I mean, it's like find the middle and just pop. That's it.
And that'll be the fastest painting you've ever done.
Very zen.
Just putting a dot.
Very zen. Very zen. Right. Yeah.
All right, John. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, bud. I got to run.
Okay, man. Thanks to everyone for coming.
All right, cheers.
Bye.
Oh, gone already. All right, so Huawei Prime 2019. I'm pretty sure that was him as well. There's another John, and I wasn't sure if that was actually him again or not. So I'm just going to try that, and then if not, then we can move on to Tina and Brittany. Go from there. So again, for those of you, it's a lot busier now. If you look down in the description below the video, if you want to join, there's the Zoom room ID number as well as the passcode. there is a Discord link. If you'd like to join Discord, Discord is totally free. You go to Discord and then you get your free profile. It's kind of like Facebook. And then you can use my link to join my server and hang out with other like-minded people. I do have a new NDE. It's kind of new. It's been there for a while now. An NDE channel that's called JeffMara NDE Clips, which it's NDEs only. And they're just clips from videos. So it's just, the videos are about 5 to 15 minutes long. So if you just want to go hear someone's NDE, that's there for you. Instead of, you wanting to invest a whole hour's worth of time. So that is there. What else is there? The JeffMara Facebook page. I was going to talk about stories in the news if it got slow, but it isn't slow, and I'm not going to have time for that. But I have some interesting nude stories there you may want to check out, as well as that's how you can kind of also keep, if you don't subscribe and hit the notifications bell, you do that, you'll be notified every time when I put out a new video. If not, then I post them there too, just to keep you aware. And last is my Facebook personal profile. You're welcome to friend me. We get 5,000 friends, so once it's there, it's the end. And John is, I believe, I don't know what's going on with this John. So I'm going to put him back in the... I'm going to go to Tina Thomas. Lots is going on. As I told you, I had a really mind-blowing podcast today with RJ Spina. And I hope you guys will like it tomorrow. He is the man that healed himself from paralysis and other diseases. Talking about how he was able to project his consciousness and where did he go and what did he see. And maybe you may or may not have heard this stuff before. I've never heard something that would be interesting and hard for you to wrap around. Tina, can you hear us?
Yes.
Hello, Tina. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
Great. What's going on this week?
Well, I'm was it 5 or 6 weeks out of that near-death experience?
Yeah, how are you coming along with that?
The side effects.
What are you having?
They're incredible. So once in a while I'll do readings for people.
And right,
like psychic.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm just letting you know that she literally had an NDE 5 to 6 weeks ago. She had one prior to that, I don't know, a few years or so, but so she has a fresh NDE that she's processing.
And I'm still in love with you all.
Well, thank you. We love you too.
I know you do. That's what's so great about it. I know the truth about everybody. So so I was doing a mediumship for someone who had actually watched that interview that you did with me. And she had someone in mind that who she wanted to channel, who she wanted to come through, and immediately God came through. And I've never had that happen. Never had that happen before.
And what did you learn from that, or what did you get out of that?
I can't remember any of it, but it's recorded in a video. So she said I can watch it whenever I want. She said I can share it.
Is it on YouTube?
No, it's between her and I. I haven't published it yet. I don't have the technology to publish it. And she's escaped from a narcissist marriage, and so I would have to kind of blur out her face and bleep out her name, and then she said I can use it. But it was so amazing. It was so amazing. It was like for both of us. It wasn't like I was doing a reading for her. It was like God was talking to us both. So
what have you processed out of your NDE lately? Like, what new conclusions have you come to?
Okay, so a week after the NDE, someone who saw the show, who's a hypnotherapist, Eileen Valerio, she contacted me and I did a session with her, and then I had more. We actually worked on my memory because I have traumatic brain injury. So we were working on my brain and memory and all this stuff. Didn't know it was going to affect that, but I did get more memory. And so when the first memory I have is going through that bright light and then going down into the darkness. In the bright light, I could see the whole city, like a whole city in front of me. And off in the distance, there were arches, like the letter M. And I understood that everything that, because we were going beneath under the city, and I understood that everything under the city was the same as above, but it was like a negative of a photograph. So I was going underneath. So because if I saw everybody there, I wasn't going to be able to come back here. And yeah, and the only person I remember being there for sure, like I knew who she was. She's like, you know how like in the Bible, God's putting two of every kind on the ark, and he sent down his only begotten son, and apparently he has an only begotten daughter, and she was there. And there's something to that. I'm not
You're
sure
getting
what.
into new territory for me now. Not only did God have a son, he had a daughter.
Of course he had a daughter.
Who is the daughter?
Why wouldn't he?
Yeah, why wouldn't
This
he?
world wouldn't accept it. That's why it's nobody's ever talked about it. I don't know if anybody else has ever seen it, but that's what I saw.
Oh, did you get a name?
You know, the only name I was given was a Native American name for her, and it's River Turtle. And there's something like the unwritten book, the unknown Christ, the unspoken scriptures.
That's fascinating to think about, that no one's ever brought that up before. Is what, God had a son. Why not God having a daughter as well?
Well, he didn't want, there's dark forces here that are here to destroy humanity. And these beings are not humans. People think it's a conspiracy theory of humans trying to take control of the planet. Those people are puppets. There are entities that are not human that want to take control of this earth. And if there was a second coming and it was a woman, they would absolutely destroy her in so many different ways that would infuriate Father, infuriate the Creator. That's how I feel.
Wow, yeah, that's interesting to think about. It's so cool.
Well, and so all this stuff they're like I'm learning is all of our words are blueprints for our reality and blueprints for how our body manifests. The words are blueprints for our experiences. And so like when we're born into toxic families, our parents, they're already hurting people. So they're passing down their blueprints. And so the way we check out of this reality, because none of us are really enjoying this.
I lost your sound.
All right, can you hear me?
Now you're back.
Okay, where did we leave off?
Oh gosh, I don't something about a river.
Oh, okay. So we have to speak with a new vocabulary, and that is loving kindness words for ourselves and others, because every word that we use is a blueprint that manifests our experiences and our reality, because we live in a semiotic relationship with the universe. The universe can't exist without us asking questions and commanding it. And we cannot exist without the answers the universe gives us. And so we have to ask good questions, and we have to have a loving vocabulary about ourselves and others. The end. Very simple. That's what they told me.
Oh, that's cool. Well, Tina, I should probably run to the next person. I'm already over time as it is, but thank you for coming and sharing with us and giving us the update.
Welcome.
I appreciate you.
All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye. And let's get to Brittany. That's interesting because it should be pronounced Brittany, right? But you know, when I hear Brittany, you know, like you think of Britney Spears, Brittany, but I think actually the spelling is different. Brittney or Nay, but this is Brittany.
Yes. Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Me?
Yeah, you're just a little bit low. Can you come up your volume a little bit?
Is this better?
Yes. So how do you pronounce your name? Is it Brittany,
Brittany.
or Brittany?
Brittany, either way.
Either way.
Whatever you want to do.
Well,
Yeah.
Brittany, thank you for joining us. And where are you Zooming from?
I'm from Northern Kentucky, right
wow.
by Cincinnati, Ohio, right outside of Cincinnati.
Oh, nice. How do you like it up there?
It's actually not bad. I've lived here pretty much my whole entire life, around the area, and I like it.
You don't really have an accent. I guess you're so close to Ohio, you don't really kind of get into a southern accent.
Yeah, I have family that's about 3.5 hours south, and that's when you start getting a little bit more of a twang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it cool up there right this time of year or really hot?
Right now it's just we're starting to get our hot summer. Yeah, right now they got fireworks going off and everyone's outside. It's a nice summer day.
Oh, cool. What is this town what is the town you're from?
I'm from Taylor Mill, Kentucky.
Okay, Taylor Mill. Oh, awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Small town. That's great.
Yep.
Well, what do you have to share with us today?
Well, I've not shared it with many people, but I have a near-death experience that happened when I was about 8 years old. I was a sick child, and my parents always was taking me in and out of the hospital trying to figure out what was wrong with me. And they scheduled a surgery for me to run a scope down to just check out my stomach and see, what was going on. And well, the nurses had given me a sedative and they had given me too much, where I ended up losing oxygen to my brain. And that's when I ended up going into my experience, I guess. I can't remember exactly how everything happened in order. I don't know how long it happened. It could have been 10 seconds, could have been 5 minutes. I don't know. But I remember seeing my body floating outside of my body and being able to see the nurses and my body laying there as they're working on me. I'm able to hear what they're thinking. I also look at myself and I'm thinking, who is that poor sickly person? Like, I didn't recognize myself at first and I laughed about it. And then there was someone that reminded me of almost like a shepherd that was with me at that moment. And that's when I ended up going to what I didn't think of it as the Garden of Eden at first. I just thought of it as this most beautiful scenery that I'd ever could imagine. And I had seen a large whale, a large bumblebee. Actually, the buzzing of the bumblebee is what brought me back into my body. The sound of the bumblebee, once I seen it, ended up turning into the sound of the machine I was hooked up to, the beeping. So the buzzing ended up turning into the beeping noise of the machine I was hooked up to, and that's what woke me up. During that experience, I also was in a tunnel that looked like an old, dark tunnel with fire lights on the side. And to the left was these light beings that I knew were my family. Some were family members that had not even passed yet. Some were ancestors that I didn't even know. And behind me was these demons. And I ended up getting dragged down to what I considered purgatory or the underworld. And that's when I'm only 8 years old at this time. So I'd seen horror movies and grew up watching with my dad. That was our thing. I was the Amityville Horror House when he's in the boat shed. That's where my mind took me. I was in a boat shed, tied down, where these demons were joking and calling me names and, trying to like cut flesh off and things like that, all these words. And until I could get my belief of God and believing of Jesus again, until I had that come over me, I wasn't freed. But as soon as I did, I was back to wherever. I was out of that mess. I was out of that place. I've seen all different types of demons and things of sorts that I actually ended up forgetting about this experience until I got older. I call it like spiritual PTSD, where it just comes back in waves. After this experience happened, when I did wake up from the hospital, I ended up telling my mom where she was in the hospital, what room she was in, what her and the doctor had talked about. It freaked her out a little bit, so she ran and talked to the doctor because she was like, "Did you tell her any of this? Where she was at? Just wanted to clarify what the doctor to make sure, just to figure things out." And I remember looking up and seeing the doctor look concerned as he's hearing my mom tell these things, but then also looking down at me and not wanting to look worried, and then looking down and smiling, but then looking back up at her and then looking with worry. And then after that, I just remember, because of them looking so worried, I just didn't want to talk about it anymore. I didn't want to bring it up, didn't want to freak anyone out until I got older, and then I had many other experiences happen throughout my life. But it seems like after my grandmother passed away in 2017, she was like my best friend. That's when I started having more like a spiritual awakening, where I started having more mediumships gifts. I'm not good at it. I can't pick and choose what I'm able to know. It's just sometimes having a knowing of where I'll be the next day, or even what I'll be watching on TV, or an event that could happen. And I just never know. And just lots of weird things that have happened since that experience. But that's my little tale that I've shared with many people, and I'm pretty shy, so I just got it out real quick.
Well, I appreciate you, and I'm sure everybody here appreciates you sharing it. So thank you for that. It's interesting to see that a common thing with people like you who go to or have a negative or hellish experience, if you call out to Jesus or remember Jesus or God, usually it's Jesus, but I think God would be just as effective. That helps you get out of that environment.
I actually had seen God at the same time. I can't remember the order of this. I just know that he was to the right of me as these angels were there, and the wings were covering their whole entire bodies. Not even their feet was not even allowed to be shown to God. I know there was beautiful music, and I remember weeping I'm 8 years old. I haven't committed too much, bad in my life. And I remember just feeling like I committed so much bad in my life, and that I just want him to forgive me. And I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to go back. And he's like, "Well, your mother needs you, so you have to go back. She needs you." And that's why I went back.
Did you happen to see God as well?
I didn't.
You
I
did?
did not see him.
Okay.
I was actually formed into a church almost, like where I was sitting in a church booth. And he was enormous. He was not only like a human form, like giant human form, but I could not look at him because he was so beautiful. I just felt like I didn't have the right to at that moment.
It's interesting that your doctor was concerned about your NDE. Like, why would you're already back, so the emergency's over. What was his concern? What do you think was it?
I don't know. This is back in the 90s. I don't know if he was just a science-minded man and hearing somebody come up and say, well, my daughter, knew all these things. Did you guys talk about it in front of her during the surgery? No, we did not. Talk to the nurses. No, things of that nature. And I don't know if that was just something that he never experienced, so maybe it kind of freaked him out, or what the case may be.
So how do you think it changed? You forgot about it, and then as it came back to you, how did it come back to you? Like in dreams, or you just kind of started, you'd see something and it would remind you?
Well, what happened actually is I was with my children's father for 14 years, and I had realized that I was in a narcissistic relationship. And basically, after my grandmother passing, also getting a divorce, basically everything that I'd ever thought that I knew was wrong. And so my whole world just completely changed. And at that same time, I moved back in with my father, which was also a family home that had been, we've had forever. And it was my grandmother's before she left it to him. And I moved back in there, and there's a cemetery right behind it. And that house has been haunted forever. I started having experiences there at the same time as I'm having my spiritual awakening. I would have dreams and visions of things, and then I would see things, and I would have to research what I was seeing. And it basically, like, I would be seeing it before I'd even know what it is, and then all of a sudden I'd be guided right to it online or whatever my research would lead me to. So it'd be like finding out something's real before you even know what it is. And that's how I kind of came to be like, I'm not making this up, I'm not crazy. Because you think that, you always think that. I've had so many experiences, and I continue to have them, and I will always question them. I don't know if it's just my human nature, what it is, but something in me always wants more proof, wants more.
Interesting that you feel like you still never have enough proof to verify that this was real.
Yeah, and I have them all the time. I did, EVP sessions at the same time, because I'm like, if I'm seeing these things, hearing these things, my mother stayed the night at my dad's house with a few times, just helping me with the kids and stuff. And we would wake up and have the same dreams, just many things.
Amazing. I mean, I guess most people would say that you went through the veil and it's still open for you, and so you're able to just kind of access all this stuff.
Yeah, I wish I knew how to access it. I wish I knew what to do with the information.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe one day.
Yeah, you have this ability. Maybe you just need some guidance on how to.
I think so. I was, a lot of people that have an interest, if they want to be a lawyer, they go to school. With mediumship, it's kind of hard. You got to find someone and make sure that they are who they say they are, that they're real, and then hopefully be able to find a mentor to guide you. And it's a lot harder than being able to just find a school.
When you are contacted by somebody, are they just totally spontaneous things that just kind of happen when you're not ready for it?
Pretty much. Most of the time it is me having thoughts that not even my own. It's more or less like just random thoughts that I'll have. And then later on, something will clarify it, like it's like a synchronicity. And I'm just like, okay, that clarifies a sign for me. It's hard to explain. It's really actually simple. I will hear other people's stories and I'm just like, I don't know why it's so complicated when it's my life, but when I hear someone else break it down and they have the same things happen, I'm just like, I get it. I don't know. It's just weird when it's your own experience. It's hard to look in, I guess. Plus, I have 3 children and I take care of them and run around dealing with them all the time. I try to deal with the spiritual stuff, but most of the time they're my main focus.
One thing that a guest told me, and after so many NDEs, somebody said this, and I thought it was so profound, that we're used to looking ourselves in the mirror and we kind of see ourselves in a 2D reality. But when you see your body in 3D, it's just different. Was that real for you?
I'd say so. I felt a joy and laughter, and I did feel like I was happier. I didn't feel any pain or joy when I did see my body. After my grandmother died, I had actually told her before she had passed away, I was like, I want you to meet me in your chair one last time. And I didn't know when it was going to be. And it was during right out the week after she passed. My mother and family are all standing around. I see her as a light being, just like I did for my near-death experience when I was a little kid. I see her as that. And I feel this warmth and joy. And I feel her like basically like come to my body. And when I talked to a medium about that later on, she had tapped in and said that I was sitting on her lap. And that's what I was feeling. And that makes sense because that's what we always did. I always sat on her lap. We'd make up little games, put little toys behind my hand. Which one? Pick a hand, grandma. What, little games that you, do with your grandparents. And I think she was a big part of my awakening, just my love for her and how lost I felt when she was gone.
Cool. What do you think inspires you about this experience?
Just knowing, I think I lost faith in God when I was younger, when both members of like my grandmother and on both sides of the family died. It's like, you lose a little bit of faith when you're younger and everything starts, going a little haywire. I think I just lost touch with God and finally found him again. It's hard to explain.
Sorry to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
Have you contemplated why demons were after you? Do you think it's maybe just due to when you're on these type of medications that it kind of lowers your vibration? Because I don't think you've been a bad person at 8 years old. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Well, I was told that it was something to do with generational curses on my mother's side. I've looked into my family history and something to do with like the Doomsday Book. There was like my family Celtic history and something to do with like my family was like, like the Anderson sisters from Hocus Pocus. Well, Andrew's sons is who my heritage is through. It was the Andrews and then it became Andrew's sons. So I've linked a little bit of witchcraft and stuff like that through my bloodline. And also I have ancestors that have had, they were Indian medicine women and things of that nature. And it just seems to be something that's been through the bloodline. And when I've actually talked with spirit through doing sessions through EVPs, they say that it's me basically ending a generational curse, which I don't know much about them. I know that people have been talking about them a lot lately, but it's something that popped up on the EVP, so it's something I'm looking into.
Well, your ancestors will probably be thankful for that.
Definitely. And it's actually funny because when I was naming my children, I was trying to tap into my ancestors to name them. And I did my ancestry and was looking into that. And I found out that my great-great-grandmother and grandfather, their names are what I named my children.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it was pretty cool.
Great. Well, Brittany, thank you so much for coming and sharing with us.
Thank you for having me.
That was
I
great.
appreciate it.
I wish you the best, and hope you come back and share with us again some of the other experiences that you've had.
No, I've had many. So yeah, I'm sure I will. Thank you so much.
Oh,
I appreciate
awesome.
your time.
All right. Well, have a great
You have a
rest of
good
your
night.
weekend.
You too. Thank you. Happy 4th.
Same to you. So that was awesome that we got to finish the evening with an NDE. And that happens from time to time, that someone will pop in on the Saturday night and even, tell us about our NDE. It's one of the things that I really enjoy about Saturday nights is the spontaneity. I don't know who's going to be here. I don't know who the next guest is. And just like that one, I mean, it was like someone I've never met. We've all never met, and we got to hear, about her NDE, which I think is really cool. So on that note, it's overtime by almost 30 minutes. So thank you guys so much for watching our videos, for being with us here on Saturday night. And I want to know that we really appreciate you and we love you, and we wish you guys the best. So have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you next Saturday.